Oh, he's taking his jacket off. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Let's give it up for Eddie. Come on.
Spike. We all serve the maestro.
Tell the people out there how we both got the script at the same time. You remember?
Well, I'm going to go further back
Uh-oh.
to the fan letter I wrote Spike. That's how we met. I think to say that Do the Right Thing meant a lot to me and Phil Hoffman would be, like an understatement. It was like, Do the Right Thing was the first film that I saw in my young life that I walked out of the end of it and walked back to the box office and bought a ticket and went into the next show, because it so radicalized my idea of what a film was that it, like Phil and I used to talk about it, it kind of changed the aspirational frame we had for like what you could do. So for me and Phil, Spike was...
You saw it together with Phil?
No. I'm just saying we had this... Phil and I came up in New York together, and this was something we got excited... We were actually working on another film, you remember, together when we... Before...
What was the film?
It was a film called Red Dragon, and we were so excited about getting into this. But when I saw He Got Game, I was so overwhelmed by it. I wrote Spike a letter, and I wrote Denzel a letter, and...
Did Denzel answer?
Neither of you answered. But some things you just throw into the wind, and then I saw Spike at a Super Bowl, at a party in Miami, and he saw me from across the room and lit up and came running over and gave me this big hug, and I realized he actually had gotten the letter. And that's how we met, was via my expression of adoration for his work, and then at some point Spike called me and said there's something you should read, and he sent me the novel. You sent me David Benioff's novel.
Yeah, but Tobey
Maguire had gotten the rights to it.
Right.
And wait, well, I don't know if it was you or Toby or you.
We both got the script at the same time.
Oh, we got David's script together.
Yeah, right.
That's right. You're right.
Because I got the script before I got the novel.
You're right. Uh-huh. You're right.
David Benioff wrote this before 9/11. And so, that wasn't even part of it. So when he sent it to me, I said, we got to make this a post 9/11 film. We were the first film to shoot in New York City after that day. And it wasn't hard to do, because New York City was still reeling. It wasn't like the next day. It was like nothing happened. American flags were everywhere, and it was really people were still struggling. My location manager, which I can't remember his name, I said, look, because that area was shut down. I said, look, we need a building that's right over ground zero. Just everything was shut down. I don't know how I did it, but we got it. And that scene with Barry Pepper and a late brother, that was the real. When the camera went past him out the window, and the last thing you see, these guys, workers with rakes, they're looking for human remains. And the thing for me that really, really brought this together was Terrence Blanchard's score. His score was really just lifted everything up, and so we were doing the job, but it wasn't like everybody was happy because we were still shooting New York City while this thing, what New York City was trying to get past. So that day, I was not in New York that day. That day before, I had flown to L.A. You know, you heard the story?
We talked on the date. We both tried to make it to the train station in L.A.
You were in L.A. too?
Yeah, we talked.
I thought it was just Chris Rock. You were there too?
No, we tried. We were both. I texted you at some point, and you said I'm going to the train station.
Yeah.
And I realized that's a way I could get home.
But you weren't on my train.
I missed the train.
I got the last train out of L.A. And I remember this now. And then I called Chris. I know Chris was in L.A. I said, "You gonna rent a car?" He said, I couldn't drive. I didn't have my license then, so there's no way that was gonna work. So LAX was shut down. So I got a cab to Union Station, and the train was full. And there was African American sister. I said, "You gotta get me on the train. You gotta get me on the train." And I was in her face. And she said, "Okay, Spike, oh Spike." So she went back to speak to the brothers, the Porterman, and so they all shared a bunk, but they let me stay there. And so the train went from L.A. to Chicago. Then you changed trains to Chicago to get back to New York. So my wife Tanya called me up and said, "Turn on the TV." And that's when I saw the second plane hit. But the reason I was in L.A., I had a meeting with Arnold Schwarzenegger. You hear about this? I was trying to get this film. I'm going to get done. But have not been successful yet. It's called Save Us Joe Louis. And it's about the relationship between Joe Louis and Max Schmeling. And I wanted Arnold to play Max Schmeling. So we had a meeting. He called me up and said, "Yes, John, we're still going to meet." So we had to meet. We went to some restaurant in Hollywood, and we didn't even discuss the meet. We kept looking up at the TV. So I got this. It takes 3 days to go back from LA to, you got to change trains to Chicago. So I got back 3 days later, and it was crazy. How'd you get?
I didn't get back to New York until I feel like they let some flights go for some reason, like the Friday or the Saturday after. I got back that weekend. But I remember feeling like, you know, when we were talking about doing the film, that like I wanted to work with Spike all my life, really, in all of my life and consciousness of films, and there was that. But then I also really felt like sometimes things they work out the way they're meant to. I felt like David's story in his novel and in his script is full of melancholy and full of the regret of unintended consequences and
Great novel.
yeah, and might have beens and in that sense, it even though it's about this guy who's gotten pinched for drugs, it had this universal kind of feeling of paths in life and also the way friendships age and change but I think that the thing that I feel about Spike's work that's been consistent to me is that he has always dealt with the community that he lives in, and he has seen American life through the community, through the lens of his own community, and whether that's Do the Right Thing or Jungle Fever or Crooklyn or He Got Game, these larger themes about American life are examined through the prisms of the communities he knows so well, and that he's never shied away from. He's always leaned into the conversation of the moment, the tension of the moment, do the right thing. It's hard to, those who are my age, people just didn't say the things that are said and do the right thing out loud. Now, so much of that dialogue is part of our national consciousness, it's part of our national conversation, for better and for worse. But at the time that Do the Right Thing came out, it really felt like this feeling of, I can't believe that someone is saying that I can't believe that someone's pushing in on people, saying all the inner monologues and all the out loud and expressing it. And I felt that if we were going to make the 25th Hour, I felt that Spike doing it was in some ways the only way we should do it was with someone who I knew would take in the moment that we were actually going through and use the 25th Hour as a prism to look at what was actually happening in New York and in America, and seize on the opportunity of David's great kind of, allegorical story to actually not shy away from, not pretend these things hadn't happened, and not pretend that we weren't going through the grief and the conundrum and everything. And I think, sometimes you can have a feeling of real cautiousness about whether you should be doing a kind of work at a certain time. And I think that a lot of us felt that Spike liberated us to lean into that piece specifically by dealing with the post 9/11 New York, as opposed to trying to work despite it, And I think that, and I do think you feel that, not just in the visuals, but you feel the melancholy and the regret of the city.
Thank you.
Coming through it.
The scene when I read the script first, and then the novel, and one of the most talked about scenes is where you have was it diatribe? Was that the word? And it wasn't in the script. I said, how come that's not in the script? He said, well, I don't know how to write that. I said, look, I got it. Yeah. I got it.
No, I remember
got it.
David saying, well, that seems like an interior monologue. It just didn't seem very cinematic to me. And Spike goes, leave that to me.
Oh, you know what I got to say to that? I'm gonna bite on my brother Isaac Whitlock. She. Also, he didn't start saying that in The Wire. We were first. That shit was. He did not say that first in The Wire. She. But I just saw. I mean, really, we kind of didn't do the right thing. You spaghetti bending, that whole thing. And people are, we don't have you talk and scream, but we still, And so, if you love New York, you love this shit, this great, you love, the shit is fucked up too, but that's New York City. So I really wanted to, to not try to sugarcoat it. And, people still dying from cancer. It's like, that's a horrific day.
I've always felt in your films that that the love and the compassion supersede the conflict. I always feel that you, in the end, love everybody, even the racist pizza maker, even the...
Sal's famous?
Yeah.
Then why did Mookie throw the motherfucking garbage can through the window of Sal's famous pizzeria?
But I feel that
Oh, you know what's funny?
I feel that you understand everybody.
But here's the thing, though.
And you only come off as tough when you're like going at it with the Pacers on the court, you seem more vituperative but the truth is you're a softie and you're very compassionate.
Not really,
you're very
but
compassionate
not
about
with Boston, not with Boston though,
about the
or
city.
Indiana.
Yeah.
So when I had to throw the garbage can at the window 3 times, the garbage can just bounced off the window. The turtle was on my ass. Then everybody was there. They were killing me. So finally, Win Thomas, great production. We had the score so a break. So finally, like the 5th take, the garbage can broke the window. And so all hell broke loose because we wanted one take. Well, we wanted more than one take when they come in the pizzeria and tear them off. Like, oh, we got one take because extras just destroyed it.
That's independent cinema, Spike. You've forgotten. Now you're making movies for Apple. You've sort of forgotten.
We wanted more than one take, and it was destroyed.
You and Denzel have gotten, used to the fat of the land.
But at this, I was sitting in the back. I sat through the whole, half. Before, I had to do something else, press for the movie, but I got here because I wanted to see. We got to get Brian Cox. Come on.
Yeah.
That scene with you in the bar before he'd go to the, man, he's amazing. Yeah. He's amazing. That's just like a difference of opinion about the end of the film. No one has. You think it happened or it was just no? What is a dream? No, I mean it's up
in my mind. I'm still living with Rosario in Texas. I remember we had. I think it's worth noting. Like I'm giving you shit about Apple and big budget filmmaking, but the 25th Hour we made in 26 days.
What?
Yeah, 26 days plus 1 in Texas. Which
no, we in Texas more than 1 day.
Oh, maybe 2.
Because we had
we did
shots in the motherfucking desert.
But the budget and the schedule was the shortest that I'd ever done on a film.
That's all we can get.
Huh? Right. But I think that I want to say, to me, I had a couple experiences of working with you on that film, and then later making Moonrise Kingdom with Wes Anderson, which he also made in about 25 days and shot on Super 16, and where it really the way Spike directed us in the 25th Hour, he called a mandatory 5 weeks of rehearsal. I mean, at least over a month of rehearsal.
We had 5 weeks.
Yes, but
What
there
we
was
doing for 5 weeks?
there was an actress who Spike had talked to about playing the part that Anna Paquin played, and
She was great.
and she's terrific. And but she couldn't commit. She wouldn't commit to the rehearsal period. And Spike, I don't want to say fired, but Spike said that's not going to work. And I think
So what happened?
we would meet out in. You don't remember
My
anything.
memory's shot.
No, we would meet at the office in Brooklyn. Spike had a big rehearsal space, and we rehearsed that film like a play for day after day after day. And Phil and I both came up in theater companies in New York and doing things in stages like this one, and it was for us. It was kind of heaven. It was heaven because Spike essentially said, we're not going to have time on the day for a lot of takes. I'm not going to do a lot of coverage. It's going to be a, you know, like the Dirty Dozen. Donald Duck goes here, and this is what we're going to do, and we got to move fast. And so the process of rehearsal on the film was, you know, like 9 to 5 rehearsal in a space like this, and working things out, talking them out. But then a lot of times we would have a dinner break, and then Spike and Rodrigo Pietro would screen a film almost every night.
The DP, Rodrigo Pietro.
Yeah. And but Spike, it wasn't mandatory, but there was sort of this thing of like we rehearse in the day, there's a dinner break, and Spike would screen a film in the night. And
What films did we?
well, and a lot of times you would get up in front of all of us and say, "We're going to look at Midnight Cowboy tonight because Rodrigo and I want to look at the way they did this and take inspiration from this." And I remember, I don't think we had seen Midnight Cowboy on a screen in a while, and it was great to watch it and everything. As soon as it ended, Spike goes, "Still a motherfucker."
I remember that.
But then, for instance, do you remember you showed us William Wyler's Dead End?
Yeah.
And
The
I remember
exactly the Bowery
and,
Boys.
and Spike got up the Dead End, which if you haven't seen that film, it's one of Humphrey Bogart's first films. It's a really great film, and the Dead End kids in it, you know.
Tall.
But you remember they say great things like, you know, take it on the arches, and they all sound like Bugs Bunny. But but Spike, I remember Spike standing up in front of us and saying, "We're gonna watch Dead End because I think this is the way these guys were. They were like these kids. They came up together, and I really felt we got to have a process of rehearsal, but also immersion in Spike's frequencies. You know what it was that he was channeling in dialing into the soup of it all, and I think without that, doing a film like that at that kind of pace would have been very, very difficult. I think it was really brilliant the way Spike got everybody's radios tuned to the same frequency for a period before we started it, and that was like a real treat for all of us.
I'm gonna talk about Barry Brown, the great Barry Brown. I mean, editing. It was.
How did you meet Barry? Because he cut. Did
I
Barry?
met
Did Barry
Barry-
cut? Did he go to NYU with you?
No,
Did he cut? She's Got to Have It.
a little bit. But shut school days. School days. Do the right thing. Even this new one, High and Lois. But Barry was in. I met him in Atlanta. He was there. I was in Atlanta for a summer. And then he was had this organization, independent films called First Run Features. So he gave me an internship while I was at NYU. And we just, I mean, that was
87.
I was still in
88?
film school. So I finished NYU 82. So we've known each other since 1980. And here we are, just cut the new film. But he's.
Do you think that when we did that film, I felt like I was getting a taste of because we made it so fast and so on the fly, I felt like I was getting a window into the way you work that in my mind I was romanticizing. That's like how do the right thing was, moving fast, being specific, having shots planned, not wondering what your coverage is going to be, and you know. But
we shot that in one block.
do you feel the way you work has changed?
I got more money. You know, this is what I tell my students who are some here. You know, you just gotta work. You know, you gotta do the work. And I've been gifted to having great people like you in front of the camera and behind the camera. So it's a team. It's a team, and we've seen too many teams that don't win because they're not together, and everybody's doing all this other stuff, but not the goal. The goal is to win. So Just keep going. Just keep going. Keep going. But again, I was saying earlier.
If I cast you in a film, will you act again?
What?
Are we going to get you in front of the camera again?
She. But, I mean, I was cracking up. I mean, you had heard the person laughing in the back was me. But it's a very serious film. But there's a lot of humor in it, and a lot of that stuff was improv. You know, it was so like we, as you know, once you rehearsal, and that's where a lot of that stuff can come from. And also stuff people had the green, you know, great actors got the green light. You know, they want to say something, and the other actors just pick it up, and you know, it's a flow. It's a flow, and this film still holds up. You know, younger generations have seen this film for the first time. Who's never seen this film? Look at that! Thank you for coming. Thank you. For seeing you're not in, what's your scene most memorable? Scene you're not in from this film?
Yeah, I think the ones between Barry and Phil.
In the Chinese restaurant?
Yeah, the Chinese restaurant is a really good one. I always felt that they really they caught something very true in the way that you feel weirdly bound into friendships through history with people that if you met them now you wouldn't be friends with them.
You would never think those two would be friends.
No, and I actually, what I like about it is they both seem to actually have a lot of contempt for each other. Like they didn't try to soften. And I think they really leaned into the truth of how much love hate can be in a friendship that's bound up in history as opposed to present connection, and I think a lot of people can relate to that, and I think they're great.
How old is this film now? What year is it? When did it come out?
Not as old as the Cherry Lane Theater. 102 years this has been a theater.
Yeah.
Amazing. Neat. We did. The first film I directed, and we rehearsed.
Yeah.
We used this as a rehearsal space.
It's historical.
And it's great. It's great. It's been resuscitated.
Yeah.
Kept alive.
Thank you, 824. Thank you.